So what you're telling me is your cat needs a wide load sign.
No, she's too skinny for that. I have other cats that need the "Oh Lord, he's coming"
Oh,
sign, but
Chonk.
yes, yes, Captain Chonkers. Everyone has like 16 different names for each pet, and his definitely includes Captain Chonkers, Captain Handsome, and just Chonk.
Okay, so I have a serious question for both of you. How many cat ladies have y'all put in your books? Because damn.
None.
Yeah, none yet. I'll have to
How
change
is that
that.
possible? How is that possible? I've written
I
several books where I've got where all the characters have animals. It's easy to see I love animals. They're usually the only ones that come unscathed out of the story. Oh, except for one.
well,
Y'all don't write animals into your books. The hell's wrong with
no.
you? Are your
So
characters so soulless that they don't need a companion?
no, in some cases it doesn't make sense to have a pet. Like, like, and then in others, well, in the magical girl fan fiction of years and years and probably decades now gone by, there was the prerequisite, animal familiar. So,
What other kind of familiar would you have besides maybe Renfield?
I don't know.
I heard, by the way, that movie is really good.
Okay.
Whatever the
You heard that
latest,
from me. It is.
not just you, not just you. I did hear that from another friend, so it wasn't just you. So maybe there is something to this diabolical comedy going on there. Animals are there to make the reader suffer. I completely disagree with that. I think animals are there. I put animals in there in one case as a plot device, but I think they show a lot about the character, how they interact
Oh
with
yeah.
their animals, what their expectations of their animals are, and what their animals' expectations of them are. I think that just shows, especially for a character who we don't see interact with many people outside of their job. I think that's a very, very big way to connect with the character. And the animal doesn't have to be in danger. The animal doesn't have to be a plot device. The animal is simply part of the character. And in that way, it is a familiar, even if it's not an integral part of the story or follows the character around. The simple interaction tells us that is a portion of that character's soul on four legs. That's my way of looking at it. Now, if you kill the animal, you better have a goddamn good reason for doing it, like John Wick. You know,
I'm not even sure that you can have a good reason and get
a
away with
good
it.
reason.
The only reason that John Wick gets away with it is because there is immediate and bloody payback.
Oh yeah. Oh no no no.
Yeah.
That's why I said there are exceptions, but like I said also, you better have a goddamn good reason for it.
Yeah. I mean, this was years ago. I had a character that I was writing fan fiction alongside stuff that I was playing in an MMO. And part of her backstory was she had a dog, and there's a huge alien invasion, yada yada yada. She's ready to just like screw you all and go back to her bunker. But I had the aliens kill the dog. So she literally has nothing left to live for, and she hauls ass and goes. Um, Someone took it upon themselves, like who was in the player group, to message me and say that I needed to retcon that the dog needed to be there, and how dare I? I'm like, this is my character. I understand that you like this aspect, but even in the sense of the game, there's no dog like sidekick piece in the game that you're playing. It's not there. It's literally a figment of my imagination, part of the story for this character. And I was nearly guilt tripped into retconning what I wrote. And I was like, this isn't your damn character. Back off.
I got an email and I got comments on YouTube when I was running Gears Inferno. If you do anything to that cat or that dog, I'm unsubscribing and will never buy any of your books again. I was like, oh god.
And get that. Because there are various like rating systems for shows, and
Yeah.
there's a rating system that says, if
Violence
there are
against
pets that
animals.
figure prominently, does it survive through? What happens? Because there are plenty of people who will not watch, or who will have a difficult time watching, if an animal is in peril
Yeah.
or does not make it through that peril.
And I would say a child fits the same bill.
Yeah, child fit the
God.
same bill.
Yeah,
I mean,
I like.
that's another third rail that you have to treat very carefully.
I have stopped books because they endangered children or implied that they were going to die off screen. I'm like, okay, we're done here.
Yeah, that
Oh, you'd have
was
hated closet treats.
one of that. Every narrator has like their hard lines of stuff that they won't narrate, and Children in Peril used to be mine. And then I got the start of a series, and there was like a ancient sacrifice thing going on. I'm like, oh God, please don't let this be the rest of the book. No, it was a prologue setup. I'm like, okay, I can get through 2 pages, but watching TV or watching movies where there is a consistent that kid cry where something is hurt and wrong and you need help, it's probably some maternal instinct. It just hits wrong. And I'm like, can we please get past this? Can you mute this? I can't. For more than 30 seconds, I literally cannot deal. And we were watching an episode of, we're catching up with Yellow Jackets, that series, which is fantastic. It's some really great storytelling. I think it's kind of going into like Lost territory a
I'm
bit
not a
more.
cannibal.
It's
Gloria,
a little
you ate
weird,
her
I'll
face.
grant you that.
Yeah, but I love the dynamics between all of the actors at both periods of the story. But one of the plot lines comes to a climax, and there is a lot of crying. And it's a lot of very desperate, hurt crying. And I was like, I'm watching this on Mother's Day.
Bad timing.
I'm just sitting there going, really? This is what we chose to watch? It's like, you want us, like, sitting there crocheting and listening. I was like, fine, we'll get through it.
Hate my children. Hate
That's
my
it.
children.
There better be ESPN after this, man.
There was
What?
Nothing.
You can counter it. That's my counter.
Stephen Sterling. Is it Stephen Sterling? S.M. Sterling. I think his first name is actually Stephen. He wrote a series called Dies the Fire, which is it's a post-apocalyptic series. In middling terms, that's what it is. And lots and lots and lots of people die during the event. And many books into this series, somebody is traveling through, I think it's Toronto, and they go to a tall building that's there, some iconic building, and goes up to the viewport that they've got up at the very top of the building, and he finds the skeleton of a woman and an animal. And it's apparent that the woman brought her cat up there, and then they both took medicine and died.
Oh.
Very sad. That hurt. That hurt reading it.
Yeah.
In chat, you're so crazy. Always weird. William says readers get up to some weird parasocial things. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. We've all been victims of various comments from various subgroups of various things about various items over the years.
Yep. How dare you remove this? How dare you add this? How dare you do this? How dare you not do this? And, even like years later, somebody will always pop up, man, I really miss so-and-so. I wish you hadn't offed them. Or, this story would have been so much better if, there was a character in Secret Old Chronicle that we wound up killing off in spectacular form, mind you. It was a true like superhero battle to the death. And I literally wrote everything except like the 2 sentences where the character actually bit it. and I made Misty write that, so I didn't have to take responsibility.
Good plan.
Yeah. But even to this day, there will still be people commenting, I really miss this character. I'm like, we had to cut things down. Really, Leo? Really?
You don't understand. This cat has attacked him all through pre-show, and well, it's just continued.
This
It's
is
just
like,
continued.
it's like, this is too much talking dads. Pets me.
It's very sad. Well, it's a good place for me to say howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I'm Paul E. Cooley, joining me again, as always, nearly always when I'm here anyway, Veronica Jaguar and Mr. Terry. He's got a derpy cat mixin. Oh my
Leo
God.
says hello.
That is a photogenic animal. Big trouble.
That is a cozy. That's a perfect like author picture right there. Just the upside down cat. It's like, oh, I was here with Dad.
It's better with the derpy eyes.
Yes.
I've
And
been
the
saying
huge
derpy a
ears.
lot lately, but that's because my dog, the new dog, is whoa, just whoa. Derpy is. I've just started calling her the derp or the derpster. It's just bad. So
She has
yeah.
orange cat tendencies.
No, she's intelligent and derpy. That's the problem.
Oh,
That's
kindred soul.
the you might be onto something there. So I guess I'm starting up. I'm still potty training this new dog. We're getting there, but she's starting to get run of the place and causing trouble, and I have to walk her at least twice a day, or else there's going to be hell to pay, kind of deal. So we're slowly seeing movement on the shadow front as far as he might actually be willing to be friends instead of just threatening to kick our ass 24/7.
Oh, so he could have a co-conspirator, not
Yeah,
last enemy.
he's been doing that thing where he walks out there in the hallway, and if she runs away, he starts crying at her like, "Come back here." So
Aw.
it's I don't know what's going on.
Don't
with
be
him.
scared. It's only posturing. Come back and let me posture some more.
Yeah, exactly. It's only me with my razor sharp claws. Don't be afraid.
I didn't mean it. Please come back. Come back.
So apart from that, been struggling through Neptune Scars. Holy shit, that book's done, Paul. Proxima Ghosts and starting up again on track 9. So I'm just kind of bouncing between the two books as necessary until one catches fire, which will probably be 5,000 words from now, and then all hell will break loose, and I'll be stuck again, zooming through one book while another book languishes, because that's how things go. But I'll be okay with that because I want to put another book in the backlog. But if I get 3 or 4 books in the backlog continuously, I'll be so happy. So happy. But I doubt that's going to happen. So that's what's going on in my world. V, what the hell's up with you?
Oh, let's see. The paranormal romance, paranormal women's fiction, totally different. That book finally got released into the wild. And it was really trippy because I was over on Facebook and clicking through stuff. And I was, sipping my coffee, going through the reels, and one pops up, and it's a book one. People are flipping through this, doing like the little book fan thing, and I hear my voice. I don't listen to myself. And I'm like, I literally like shrieked at my desk, scared the crap out of the cats, and was like, oh, that's me. Oh my gosh, that's me. I'm on a reel. I wasn't even looking for it. Holy crap. So I find it and promptly share it. But it's really nice to work with an author who's leveraging the trends, because women's fiction and romance have a lot more going on with social media than, say, science fiction or horror or fantasy. And a lot's not just because of the audience. And it's really interesting to see not just her, but some other authors leveraging social media and pushing that out and watching it come back. So that's kind of cool. I'm halfway through the third version of the outline for my own stuff I'm working on, because I wrote all the questions and I hand wrote the answers, and now I'm typing up all the answers to go into Scrivener and flesh out each scene, so then I can probably after that share it with the person who said she would look at it, and then I'll start writing. And then the collab project is 20. It's somewhere between 20 and 25,000 words in, and it's only at like a quarter, so it's going to be a big book, but that's cool. And that one is being investigated to be done as a Kickstarter, which I'm excited about, because it means that I can set a budget and I would be the one narrating it. So audio would be one of the stretch goals. But in my ideal world, I'd, hire a director to work with me to cut down on like pickups and to keep things consistent. And plus I help you learn. Yeah. No, a director. I would still be the producer of the audiobook, but literally someone who sits there and has the script. And yeah. And I know a handful of people who do that in addition to narrating. So I know their rates, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to get to this point so I can, hire this person I like and this person I like, and then we're going to work together and it's going to be awesome. Because what's the fun in doing creative things if you can't include other people who do creative stuff and do it well and get them paid? So yeah. And then there's this box from Terry that arrived, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to open it yet or not.
Almost.
We'll get to that in a minute, I think. Terry, what the hell have you been up to and why?
Yeah.
Well, who knows what the why is? And, I just finished writing the first draft of Ships of the Line, book 9 in the Last Hunter series. So I'm going to start the editing tomorrow, get that wrapped up in a couple of weeks. So as for why, because my mortgage likes to be paid, that's why.
You're such a simple man of simple needs.
You weren't here. You couldn't see my office all put back together the way I wanted it. So can you see it now?
I'm looking at it now, and I have to say I am impressed. What's in the box?
Oh, and maybe I should mention that I sent a box of stuff to V, and I took one in person to Paul. So they have unopened boxes that they do not know the contents of.
No,
I wonder what could be inside them.
There have been guesses from my children. At least
let's hear the guesses.
Oh,
I know what it is.
Are we opening this now? Is that what we're doing now?
We're about to.
Oh boy. Okay.
So what are the guesses?
The guess was cat furniture, because I had regaled them with stories. But yeah. So
yeah, go ahead and open it up.
Don't open it. Gwyneth Paltrow said. Exactly. Don't you hate it when that happens?
It's going to give me horrible self-care advice.
It's going to advise her to put an avocado where?
I don't want to narrate that.
Oh, God.
Taxidermied aardvark?
Taxidermied aardvark? Really?
Part of he's thinking we just got all of another box.
Cat furniture with cats?
Well, you did warn us there could be a cat in the box.
See, I ruled that out because my cats didn't hiss at it. They just kind of sniffed. All right.
Yeah, lots of packing materials of various kinds in there.
Oh, dear God. Yep. I knew it.
Possum dolls. There's a winning one.
Possum dolls.
Yep. This is cat furniture.
This looks like it could be something for a cat. It's got all string and shit. Wow, we both picked up the same piece.
This is which is really funny because the the bucket bed that's right next to me is it's very well loved with the size of the room. Good Lord.
Well, I know what's happening to my bookcase behind me.
I was thinking that very same thing, Paul, when you talked about that, and I already knew what I was going to be delivering. I was like, yeah, he's talking about moving that bookcase and needing more room for his cat to do stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, we can help this happen.
This is gonna have to go someplace else in the house because
I don't know. Yeah,
I have no wall room in here, and I can't really install things onto the booth because
Love it.
I would. It's not that I would worry so much about the noise. It's
that they tip it over.
No, oh god, no, that sucker's double walled and everything else, and that there's French Canadian built. It will last the apocalypse. But there's just not a lot of wall space. But there's a whole bunch other places.
Well, Shadow and I thank you, Terry. We thank you for that.
You're welcome. Let me explain why these came along, because my wife, when she went on
capitalism, unabated, rampant capitalism.
When she went on her unabated shopping spree for cat furniture, the intention was to get it all from the same person. And these two sets she inadvertently ordered from someone else. And I'm like, well, where am I going to put them up in the house? They're good looking, but they don't look like the other stuff that we have. So what am I going to do? And I said, I believe I know two people that have cats that might be able to use this, and I can make a gift of them.
Yes, thank you. This just means that there's going to be more chaos behind me than ever. But maybe they'll keep him from sitting on top of the Mac Mini, which could be a good thing. Except I might miss him. I might.
That's indeed what you were watching.
Unboxing cat furniture. That is correct, Brett. This is what you've been reduced to for entertainment.
Yeah.
There's a writer's strike going on after all.
So is French Canadian built anything like Welsh built? Requires lots of 4x6 wood and gaffer tape? No. So
it requires iron.
So it requires like deck nails, and it's the booth. So when I say French Canadian built, my father-in-law built my recording booth for me based on plans that I bought online. Among the many things that he has built over his 60 plus years of being a working carpenter, and a very, very good one at that, he used to build quiet rooms for banks up in Connecticut. And so when I said I need a room I need a booth that's going to be absolutely quiet, he was like, oh yeah, I know what we do with there. And it's MDF wood, 2x4s on the framing, and then there's plywood, and then there's drywall, and then there's what is it called? Peacemaker foam, which is a sound dampening layer. It cuts out the mid-range noise, so like street noise, just not the low rumble stuff. And then on top of that is the audio foam that cuts down. It reduces the reflections on the inside. But it took... they had to build it in parts and then bring it over here and assemble it, and it's on casters. But that sucker's not moving.
Maybe on casters, but you'll need the Hulk to move it.
The only reason it's on casters is so it doesn't touch the floor, and it reduces the amount of vibrations that you can pick up from the floor.
Oh.
That's
wow. Bigger brains than me were involved in designing this, obviously.
Yeah, but that means that right now my my noise floor in there, without any editing, just raw audio, is under negative 60 decibels, which is pro recording room, which is like, yes,
I hate you
for that. So,
Matt says, is it full suspended room noise canceling? I looked at that for a previous garage for recording drums and then moved house.
I don't know if it counts. I think in that case you would have I don't know. Quiet, cool air supply. No, I stop after 30 minutes. Otherwise, I get lightheaded.
I was thinking of how this could work if you had like something to blow air in, but the actual motive unit was far away and you had lots of hose so that you didn't catch the noise. It could have air circulation.
It could. And I do have a fan and there's a vent in there, but the fan, it's a little too noisy. And it's good if I'm in there, I need to circulate air, especially in the summer. But usually what I do is I just go in and I make sure that the air conditioning in the house is turned off because that hum is terrible. And if once the house hits 80 degrees, I stop because I've got to deal with other people. Gwyneth Paltrow, Brett says Gwyneth Paltrow gave her advice. No, Gwyneth Paltrow did not give me advice. This is
Well, Veronica, let me recommend this heated stone that you need to put somewhere, and it will help your recording so much.
Oh my God, I'm going to change the subject before.
You know what? Whatever Gwyneth Paltrow can come up with as recording devices, I can promise you I have narrated far more indelicate things in indelicate places. So she can take her heated avocado oiled rock of whatever and sell it to somebody else.
In a steam machine.
What is it? There's a name to whatever it is that she sells, and I can't remember what it is, but I remember it's really funny. Now I'm going to have to look it up.
Oh, God. When did Gwyneth Brett, this is your fault. I'm just saying, it's your fault.
We blame Brett.
Matt says you can blow air through multiple thin layers of foam, but for recording vocals, it's still picked up with a good mic. Although the NVIDIA noise canceling isn't bad. Yeah, I've been looking at that. But I think I actually cut most of that stuff off with the filtering I've got working. I know when things are bad, but when things are good. So I just wish I had an isolation booth for days like now of next week when they're rebuilding my neighbor's roof.
There we go. She sells vagina scented candles.
No.
But she does. I don't have to say no. She actually does.
You know what? Just because you can make a candle with a certain scent does not mean it needs to be sold. And
Goop.
Goop was the name of her company. I was looking that up, and then I saw the other one like, oh, I did not know that. Allow me to pass that information along.
I love your response. No. That was perfect.
I just
what the fuck? Oh, I had not heard of this.
There's part of my brain's going, okay, so if anyone that doesn't know me very well or knows me too well listens to this episode, I'm going to be in a heap of trouble. Do I care? No.
Calculate the damage.
No, I don't care. Because then the other thought is, on what occasions is such a candle used? I mean, is that the eau de parfum that one would have at, the OBGYN's office? Is it a bathroom candle? Who knows? Where do you use this particular scented candle?
Wow, Terry, she asked much better questions, much more snarkily than we ever could on this subject.
Finally, the mask has been ripped free and the real Veronica has appeared. No, I put that up there for a reason.
Oh, how dare you.
Matt says, yeah, you have to be careful. Why he has careful in air quotes, I'm not probably sure, using it. Otherwise, it gives an odd quality to the sound. And I'm reading this and going, we're talking about vagina-scented candles. I'm not exactly sure.
I had that mental shifting from third to first as well. I was accelerating in the third gear, headed for fourth, and then downshifted into first.
Well, they give an odd quality to something, that is for sure.
Uncle Chuck says I worked in a building with a chemist who designed scents and epoxy solvents. he would totally be involved in that if he were still alive.
So in a lot of these cases where you've got someone who's creating something that is
You keep getting Gwyneth Paltrow out of my house. God damn it. Sorry, V.
what I was going to say is that usually when you've got, a scent, an aroma, a taste being created, you wind up having focus groups of people to make sure that, what you're advertising is what they're experiencing. How? I mean, who, not that I'm saying that it couldn't be a useful talent somewhere, but who are the people who are going to sniff that candle and go, wait a second. Right. Let me go with number 2.
This is
this one.
This smells so familiar. What is this? Oh yeah, I just know that I know what this is.
The greatest scented candles vie with baked cookies for open houses. So if you got bachelors moving into the pad, I think you know which one you're going to choose.
Maybe she sold some to frat parties.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
You got to compare it to the control.
Giving a lot of credit to frat houses.
Thank you, Tony.
I
love that.
Because,
I know. Must have been fight it with a flashlight. Yeah, I said it.
Wow.
Oh yes, another cat. Oh God.
It's not another cat. It's the same cat. And his bed.
I don't know how to segue us out of this. I really don't.
Well, Paul, maybe if you would suggest a different scent of candle, we could get out of this.
Oh my God.
Maybe we could have a Leo scented candle.
So since we're talking about... Go ahead. What were you going to say? Inquiring minds want to know.
If it's one of Gwyneth's candles versus a Leo candle.
Can you smell much of a difference?
They're
both, after all, the same thing, right?
Yes, I'm trying to go.
All three of us are trying to stay away from the P word and having a really difficult time with it.
She should have named her company something different if she's going to sell vagina-scented candles. She should have called it Twat. Instead of Goop, you're going to go with a different 4-letter word. Maybe you should have went with that one. Which, by the way, that's not a word I typically use, but in her case, I might use it.
Goop just does not sound like appetizing, like they would make something I want to purchase. It's something I use for sealing busted toilet fixtures.
Okay, Paul, I got to tell you, you're not getting us out of this. You're not working hard enough. You need to try something else.
Wow.
Matt, you really had to go there. This entire conversation smells a bit fishy to me. Dude, what the fuck? All right, I'm pulling a ripcord. I had a title for this fucking episode. It's AI Seances, Bad Haircuts, and Surprises. We already got through the surprises. The bad haircut's obvious, although I like it. There's no back anymore. It's lovely. So, AI Seances.
By all means, tell us more about this.
I'm going to post a link to the article in the Discord. But in essence, what it comes down to is they've got an LLM, and they've got it set up to basically be a sympathetic ear that pretends to be a dead relative. And it will pick up hints. It reminds me of Eliza back from the 90s. Do you remember that? Maybe even the 80s. William says Goop is like spackle for the nethers.
No. You're thinking of Boudreaux's butt paste, which is
actually useful.
It is. No, they sell it in the baby care aisle for diaper rash. So yeah, but no, I don't recall any like Eliza thing, at first I'm like, is this like, Miss Cleo sort of thing?
Sort of.
1-900? Okay.
Call me now.
It was a simple program that would basically you would ask it a question, or it would ask you questions, and then you would answer, and it would ask you questions to explain the answer. So it really wasn't much of a therapist, so to speak. It was just a way to talk out loud to yourself.
Kind of like a Socratic method.
To a certain degree, yeah, that's kind
Okay.
of how it was intended. Now, imagine taking that kind of deal, tricking it out with a very intelligent LLM, and then making a company that will sell you a seance session with a relative. A dead relative, excuse me.
Does it have to be a relative?
That's how they're
Because
posturing it. I'm assuming it could be a dead friend. The point is, whoever you're talking to is supposedly deceased.
I mean, I'd go straight for enemies. I mean,
If I'm going to have a seance, I want it to be Liberace. That's who I want the seance with.
Okay, so now we brought up an interesting point of view, which is fuck talking to the dead relatives. I want to talk to people that didn't exist, are dead, or that I've conjured up from my imagination.
Liberace is not from my imagination.
I put him there at the front. People that are dead. Are you trying to tell me Liberace's still running around?
He
with
should
Elvis?
be.
sadly, no.
Oh God.
Sadly, no. But I
Oh,
mean,
no.
So, listeners, who would be the most exciting seance your AI could provide for you? Who would it be?
Dear God. Actually, I'm scared.
really, Tony? Let's
That
do
is
a
so
seance
meta.
with Alan Turing.
They do a seance with Harry Houdini. Boy, would he be fucking confused.
Oh my god.
Point is, the flim flam is everywhere, and they don't even ever try and advertise it as anything other than it is. And there are companies vying to do this. They're going to be competing with one another to become your house, your warehouse to go talk to your dead relatives. This concerns me because it means they could be scraping your family photos. They could be scraping any of your family trees. They could be doing all sorts of things to train these models, which I'm sure is what they ultimately will want to do. What I find interesting about it is that, number one, somebody decided they were going to do this. And number two, that they're probably going to make money.
I'm reading the article, and the way that it's describing that they set up your relative in there, it's really reminiscent of a lit RPG that I listened to that was talking about how a person's character, if they were in the middle of if the playable character was in the middle of an action, but the player logged out, then the character's behavior and mannerisms extrapolated from that point. And only by asking really specific questions could you tell if it was the AI controlling the character or if the player was actually controlling the character. And that's what this feels like.
Chuck says it'll all be part of the package. Just give us all your family photos, diaries, etc. Yep. And Tony says very, very aptly, train it off a dead person's Facebook messages.
Would that really work though?
I don't
I mean,
think
it wouldn't be.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be. Well, would it be accurate though? Because if you're only using stuff on social media, a lot of times that's very hyperbolic. It's the very good or the very bad.
Yeah, but it's going to be anyway, and it kind of depends on what kind of poster the person was anyway, right?
True.
If there's somebody who was always posting sarcasm and satire, then yeah, you building a profile out of that just from messages and posts would be rather difficult to do. So Tony says this was a Black Mirror episode, wasn't it? It was to a certain degree, but there were more tricks to it, I think. Oh, and then the math asks the question, okay, so would you allow someone to scrape your data while still alive to leave for other people to speak to you after you're gone?
Nope.
That is an interesting question. That is a very interesting question. I want to leave my organs behind in case somebody has use for them, although why any part of my body would still be salvageable is unknown to me. But the point is, I'm okay with that. Leaving my personality behind, leaving my stuff to be trained for an AI, leaving it for that specific purpose, that I kind of have a problem with. That is not something I want to participate in. Great. So my digital ghost will talk about vagina candles.
We're not going to be able to escape from that.
No. Clearly, we are not. Thank you so much.
Tony says he was thinking of their DMs. Oh God, that'd be even worse. That would be even worse. Oh my God.
That would be eye-opening. Imagine, scraping someone's personality only through their DMs, and then, immediately someone who thought that they had a nice, pleasant young man, and then immediately it starts asking for dick pics. I mean, it could be a problem.
Antoine says, do you think we have enough letters from people like Poe or Lovecraft to make a good replicant? No. And I'll tell you why. Because the amount of data you actually need is surprisingly huge. And there's just not enough. I don't think there's just enough stuff from those two folks. I honestly think Stephen King and a couple of others may have enough material for something to happen, but I think there's a dearth of material in other cases. There's just not enough. Lovecraft didn't live long enough.
Yeah, you'd have to have someone who, kept diaries, kept personal writings, not just fiction and storytelling,
everything,
and essays, but they'd have to talk, about themselves, about their day, about their interactions. My take on this is I wouldn't, but I'm still caught up in the, AI doesn't get my voice, AI doesn't get my words.
Right. But if it were to train off of 35 years of emails, 35 years of correspondence.
There you go. You've got your seance going. As per my last message.
The first line is, this could have been an email. The seance.
This seance could have been an email.
Oh, shit. I could see that scene.
Okay. Or it's like, if I'd been alive, I would have quit 10 years earlier. This is bullshit.
Yeah, that'd be a great lead-in line. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
William says, don't let the Lovecraft AI into the wild, for God's sake. Yeah, no shit. Goldzuck, he will awaken the star topology of the network is right.
Gosh, we've traveled a ways. Star topology. I haven't thought about that for a while.
Wow.
The Eldritch network topology. It must be Microsoft. That's all I could say. Matt says, yeah, training an AI is really expensive in terms of data. Millions of examples produce a fairly specific result set. Not really practical for any specific person unless there's a specific reason. Correct. Mm-hmm. Correct. For now. What it's going to be like in 2 years, who the fuck knows? I was going to say that in addition to this article, the Distractable podcast, I'm going to leave a link to it as well in the live show, had a very interesting had a very interesting podcast about this very thing, but they were talking about it from the creator standpoint, as outsiders of that, looking at it and looking at the effects. And it was a really interesting episode. It chimes in with the things that we've been saying, but it comes from a different vantage point. So but it was a funny and good show. And it also talks about a few things that I was not aware of. So I would honestly suggest you check that out. If nothing else, it's just interesting ideas there. So interesting gotchas.
There was another bit of news that came in recently that the Supreme Court ruled that Andy Warhol violated the copyright on that photographic image of Prince. And I posted a link to the news article about it in the Discord. But they said, in short, It wasn't even close. It was 7-2 as far as the ruling. So it was not a split decision. This was pretty majority wise. They said that the work that Warhol did with that was not transformative, that it was derivative, that it was for the same type of purpose, and they slapped them down for it. So I'm curious what you think of that. Does that help writers? Does that hurt writers? Does it matter? I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I have not dug into the legalities of what all this means yet, because I don't think I haven't seen a legal analysis of what this is going to mean. Because
let me explain what it was for those that don't know. I should have done that. Basically, a photographer took a picture of Prince and he licensed it to the Warhol people for a specific purpose and a limited number of whatever that was. And that part went fine. But then the Warhol Foundation, after Warhol was gone, created a new variant of it that was not part of the original deal and tried to claim that it was fair use because it was a so-called transformative work. And they're saying that, changing the colors and making it look a little bit more artsy made it transformative as opposed to derivative. And that's the real splitting point. Is something derivative or is it transformative? And I'm wondering, them narrowing down what fair use, this doesn't really narrow down fair use. They're saying that that is not transformative.
Correct.
And I'm wondering, I personally think that may help writers, but who knows?
Like I was saying, I don't know what all the ancillary and adjacent legal things are that come out of that. I mean, I read what it was, what the crux of the matter was, and why the justices went against it. And even if you read the dissenting appeal or the dissenting opinion, rather, I think they're also kind of confused because we're at this, like William says, fair use is damn prickly, always has been. That is absolutely correct. So basically, you're asking me to rule on something that is so specific on a case-by-case basis that trying to make a generality for it, a generalization, is impossible. It's like the old question, what is porn? I know it when I see it. If you can't narrow it down any more than that, then you're going to have problems with it. And this is the issue that you get into with any kind of fair use or any of those doctrines, is it is so... Lawyers can sit there and argue about it. We can argue about it all day long. Bottom line is, until somebody sues somebody, who the fuck knows if you've got fair use or not. In the Warhol situation, I think I agree with the court for once. And I think that it does. My only question and concern is whether or not that this is going to be used as a bludgeoning tool to go after people who are writing something that is similar to a work. And then we have to split hairs over what similar means.
Well, in this case, they took an existing image and changed it. So it's not even a matter of similar. It's they took something existent and then changed it. And it's companies are going to do what companies do.
Sure.
And they'll abuse individual creators as much as they can get away with. So I personally think that anything that throws up a red flag and says you may be sued may slow a little bit of it.
Yeah, the court's ruling on the Ed Sheeran case went the other direction. So that was interesting too, because that collapsed that whole mess.
Well, the thing with Ed Sheeran, though, is he brought in plenty of examples of that same chord being used in other works.
Yes.
Where musical chords may be a little different. It's much easier to envision simultaneous or even completely and utterly independent creation of the same musical chord.
Right.
Just like the same plot, just like the same character, just like same pieces of dialogue.
Yeah.
It happens. I mean, if it happens for a couple of pages, that's one thing. If it happens on every page, then we have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this is where we get into this mess. What really these people don't grasp though, and Distractable mentioned this about how many fake AI generated books got flooded into Amazon. What's happening is by doing that, they're really just wrecking everything for everybody. And ultimately, they're going to have ways to basically pick those things off for what they are. Then you're just going to get tons and tons and tons of blocked accounts. But even more importantly, you can't copyright them.
Yeah,
They
that's
cannot be copywritten. That's Supreme Court has already decided that. Yes, there was a ruling on Queens Under Pressure and Ice Ice Baby, one note difference. Yeah, the difference is Vanilla. Yeah, Vanilla Ice ended up paying, didn't he?
He lost that case.
Yeah, he lost that case.
yeah, because you can listen to that because
Oh yeah,
and
oh yeah.
both songs I know forwards and backwards. I'm not sure if I'm proud to admit that I know all the words to Ice Ice Baby, but
Just face it. That's your favorite. Vanilla Ice is your favorite character in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Just admit it.
One of the differences with that case, as opposed to Ed Sheeran's, is this was an extended bit of music that
Right.
was substantially similar.
Yeah.
And that's why he lost that, is because it wasn't just, a couple of notes just happened to fall in the same arrangement here. This was an extended
it was the bass
bit.
line.
It was the bass for the whole
Entire
thing.
baseline.
And
It's
yeah,
you
there
get
is
like
a
5 seconds or something like that you can use. But beyond that, if you keep repeating it, you're basically breaking the law.
yeah, just in terms of music, I was watching it was called Song Exploder, I think, on Netflix, and it's just little short half-hour explorations of how artists created these songs that became really big hits. And I was watching an episode on the Killers when you were young, and they talked about how oh geez, thanks Brett. Anyway, word to my mother, that's a whole different episode. So but they talked about how in part of that song they include a descending chord pattern that is that is referenced heavily in Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a good chunk and you can hear it, but it's not a case of ripping off the music. It's incorporating that piece because it's part of it's almost like a natural progression of the genre, and it helps to bring that part of the song into the next piece and help it flow.
Right.
So
And I would say that's
yeah.
analogous to Tolkien's goblins, elves,
Mhm.
and everything else, right?
Yeah, you can there's it doesn't fall under fair use, but there's certain pieces that get incorporated in order to, I don't want to say meet the definition because you don't really have a definition of art, but for it to be
Transformative.
dropped in the right bucket.
Okay. All right.
Certain things have to happen in horror, certain things have to happen in romance, and like, oh no, you had them have a happy ending. You can't do that. That's copyrighted. No, it's not. Just standard.
Look, I have the patent on bad endings. Okay, I have on the happy endings. I've got the patent.
You can't cliffhanger this. That's my cliffhangering. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work like
that
that.
way. Yeah,
But I think with authors, it definitely protects them from derivative works. Because you can only file off the serial number so much before you go and create something entirely new. Sorry, I have teenagers running.
Okay.
Came home from work, changed, is going to gym. Okay.
Her derpiness has arrived behind the door, so we'll see how long it takes derpiness to come in here.
I posted a link in the Discord of a song that I heard from Ren on YouTube, and it is an amazing story about the conflict between art and and I'm not sure what. It's the internal conflict of creation in an artist, maybe taken to a little bit of an extreme, but it's a beautiful song and a beautiful performance, and I just wanted to make sure that got shared with you.
Which says, what was that word that some author tried to copyright? I can't remember.
Lit RPG.
Was it Lit RPG they tried to copyright?
There were a couple things. There was that. There was one author who was trying to copyright the word cocky.
Yeah.
And there was a whole uproar.
Cockygate.
And you know where it was from?
The romance group?
No, the supporting bit that said you can't do that was from the University of South Carolina, because their mascot is a gamecock and his name is Cocky, which, I'm sorry, I will respect everyone's right to have a mascot, but a rooster is kind of stupid. So I will die on that hill. That's okay. I'm not for the Gamecocks or for Clemson. Y'all can figure out what your team is. I will.
Y'all can ruffle your own feathers. I'm staying out of this.
Yeah.
Y'all can go scratch another yard. I'll stay.
The guy that did the Lit RPG copyright is Alarian Kong, and he for a while pronounced himself as the father of Lit RPG until plenty of people pointed out that Lit RPG was being done by that name in Russia before he ever published anything, and so he changed it to the father of American Lit RPG.
Matt says, I wonder if Red Dwarf could have copyrighted the word smeg. No.
They probably could have. Who knows?
I don't think the Brits would have allowed them to do that. I don't think the British court would have allowed that. But hey, maybe in America, because Americans are not all that bright about this shit.
Battlestar Galactica, what was it? Frack? They could have done frack.
Yeah, but then you couldn't have had the Taco Bell frack attack or whatever the fuck it was they were running at that time. Does nobody not remember this? Maybe it was just an SNL skit about the Taco Bell frack attack or something like that. It was like a meal deal to celebrate the one of the seasons coming out. Does nobody else remember this?
When was it?
This was years and years ago. This has been in 2010s.
Yeah, no. We like to pretend, kind of like how we pretend that, Canadians are nicer than we are.
Yeah, it's all lies.
It actually made the Lit RPG may have been a trademark issue rather than a copyright issue, because one called Chuck pointed that out, and he's correct. I think it was actually trademark now that I think about it.
Not just Scrolls, but also the Space Marines.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a huge one too.
Because Games Designer Workshop, a bunch of cocks. I have so many nice things to say about them.
Oh, superheroes. That's another one.
Warhammer 40K, they're the ones that bitched about the Space Marines.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
they're kind of dicks. They're kind of really big dicks. Yeah, they're huge dicks.
I wonder if, it seems like it would make a lot more sense to have, penis-scented candles. Man, they're the right shape and everything. You could have the whole melting thing. I just don't understand it.
How did we...
One? I bet you can find some.
Probably.
If you have a comment about penises, you can send an email to show@deathrobotsociety.com. You can find us. I'm totally going to fuck this up. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul _
Find him and his penis on Mastodon.
At vyrse.social. Fuck off, Terry. You can find us on Facebook at Listener, the Death Robot Society Facebook group, where Terry wrangles all the madness. If you're still watching, why? You can find us at YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast. And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRS podcast. Where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive stuff like DRS After Dark, where apparently penises might feature prominently based on the track record so far.
How did this go from AI to penises?
Ask the assholes below me.
I don't want that combination right now.
And at the $10 level, you get your penis read. And our $10
Vaginas,
penises are
penises, and assholes. It's the trifecta.
Tony L. Joy, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. We don't know why, though. We really don't.
Somehow, I think we actually stayed on topic.
I don't remember putting penises in the topic of this.
What's in the box?
And now we have to talk about our caffeine addiction, which is probably why we're so goddamn loopy. And we get all our caffeine from corpsecoffee.com. Visit corpsecoffee.com. Check out their array of boutique teas, their copies of wonderfully weird webcomic. Visit corpsecoffee.com and get the dead in your cup. I'm fucking done here.
Come and talk to us in After Dark, where Paul will explain how he got the nickname Shorty.